On occasions where we don't have wireless access, I'll show you how to print right here from the 3D printer. So you have a couple options. You have print, filament, preheat, settings, extruder, and info. When you're ready to print, you can go straight to print. Now you have two options, a USB storage or the internal storage. Right now I don't have a USB stick plugged in, so that's not really an option for me. But if I had a USB, I would plug it in right here, and then you would choose from either the USB option or the internal storage option, and you select those by just turning the dial. So I'm going to push in on the central button here, and that will select internal storage. Now we've got some examples here from the internal storage. I'm going to push the central button again. It's going to bring up my examples. Alright, so I have a couple options. I'm going to pick Mr. Jaws. Push the central button again. Now let's say, wait, I don't want to print Mr. Jaws. The button up here is for going back. So I can go back, I can change to chain link. If I need more info on it, I can click here. It'll show me a picture of what it'll look like. It'll tell me how much material to use and how much time is needed to print this object. Now that I'm done looking at the information, I can hit the back button again. I'm going to go back to Mr. Jaws. Select it with the main button. If I rotate this button, I can go to delete, copy info, but I'm going to choose to print it. When you select print, the printer has to go through a few steps before it can immediately start printing. The carriage and the build plate will have to be in the correct positions, and the extruder will have to get up to temperature. This could take several minutes. Once your model has finished printing, there's a few steps you need to follow in order to make sure that you've cleaned off the printer correctly and it's ready again for the next person. So you're going to take the print bed or the build plate and grab it by this little handle right here and just gently pull towards you. Okay. It should slide right off. You'll notice that there's little hooks on the underside here. They match with these holes right here, so you should never have to pull very hard. Now, as you see, this is stuck pretty good to the build plate. It's not going to go anywhere. So what you might need to do just to get started is take it and gently bend a little bit, very gently, just to get it started. Then you can take your spatula, find a nice loose corner, slide it under, and it should pop off. The slight bending the purpose of it was just to get one of these corners so that we can fit the spatula under. Once you have a starting point for the spatula, this is your best option. Now, we're not done now. Obviously, I've got some filament still kind of stringing off here. This will need to be cleaned up. But also the build plate's not done. Okay, we still have the purge line. So you need to take your spatula, slide it under the purge line, and then dispose of it. Also, any other plastic that's left over here. Any sort of bumps in the build plate will cause problems for the next person that comes and tries to print. So if you find any little pieces of plastic, make sure to gently with your spatula laying flat, right? We're not going down into the plate. That will cause divots and scratches, which will also mess up prints. With your spatula flat, you're gonna just kind of scrape across and check any sort of little plastic that's left over and get it off. When you're done with that, you can kind of just set this here and it will kind of find the little holes underneath by themselves. Push it forward and it should click right in. You should not be able to lift it up at all for it to move, and it should be set.